Hey, it's Naked at Night with Lance and Rick and JD and Mark and now Scott. It's our most diverse show ever.
Great, Scott.
We've got two Jews, a black guy, a Latino guy, a Canadian, and just a second ago we had a woman in the studio, but she left. JD, I've got a tip for you.
Yes.
A strategy with Trump has asked for permission for ICE to profile anybody who looks Latino or speaks Spanish in the state of California, and that's 41% of the population. So I think you should go Jewish.
I would love to.
So all you need is a 6-pointed star and a yarmulke.
Do that.
Okay.
I can replace my Mexican charro for a yarmulke.
Okay. All right. Now, I guess let's do the show. I'm posing for Lance. This is Sunday evening. In the afternoons, I pose for Lance and his students, and he's working on this. It started as a drawing, the underdrawing. It's going to turn into a painting, a fucking great painting, because Lance is really good.
Thank you.
I'm looking more, I don't know, beat up and crappy than ever. I'm coming off of 2.5 weeks of COVID. So I guess I still have pecs, but that's about it at this point. All right, first topic. This show is going to be so Trump heavy. I apologize. He's just been, super busy. It's like when there's a foot chase in a movie and the guy is like knocking down stuff behind him to try to trip up the people pursuing him. That's what Trump has been doing to try to distract people from Trump, Epstein, just throwing everything out there and including a meeting with Putin in Alaska to discuss Ukraine, Russia. And I don't know, if you read liberal people on Twitter and elsewhere, you think nothing was accomplished because, Zelensky wasn't there, and Putin wants Donetsk. He wants he wants the whole Donbass, which includes Donetsk, and he wants the most of what he has captured. He now has captured close to 20% of Ukraine. So Lance, did anything good happen at this? Tomorrow, I think Zelensky plus a bunch of European leaders, maybe the leaders of France and Germany, a bunch of NATO people are all coming to Washington, I guess, to talk to Trump. But was anything accomplished in Alaska?
Well, let me address your first point. The thing that I think is really weird is that every time Trump does something, they ask the Democrats about it, and they say, well, he's only doing that to distract people. And it's the stupidest argument I've ever seen. Trump has had a series of spectacular successes. So he keeps, inflation is the lowest it's been.
It's at 2.7%.
Yeah, it's perfectly fantastic. Normal inflation is about 4%.
You didn't say it was normal under Biden.
No, Biden hit 9%.
Yeah, but then it went back down.
But it doesn't matter. I'm still broke because of that. And then he made peace in Africa and then he made peace between India and Pakistan, and then he made peace between Azerbaijan and Armenia, and then he made peace. Let's see, there was Africa. Between Thailand and I think Cambodia we're about to have a war.
Those guys have been fighting for 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah, I know. And he made peace with 4 countries that I can think of right now. And Biden couldn't do that with anybody. So, but those are just the international successes. Oh yeah, that's right. He wiped out, since we've been sitting here, Oh, we talked about it last time, and Rick had qualms about it. Rick had so he annihilates the threat of Iranian nuclear weapon systems that could destroy America, and Trump annihilates them. And Rick was on the fence about that. Like maybe he didn't get all of it. But since then,
maybe he didn't get any of it.
yeah, but since then, the Israeli government, the U.S. government, and the Iranian government all said that the Iranian nuclear program has been wiped out.
Then I'm not up to date.
So the point is that what is Trump? Why would Trump need to distract people?
Because might be in the Epstein files.
If he was in the Epstein files, I said this last week. If he was in the Epstein files, Biden would have released it and given it to Adam Schiff. This is ridiculous. He's obviously not worried about it.
Biden.
In fact, wait a minute. The Epstein files are now being kept by a Biden judge. There is a Biden appointed judge that is refusing to release the grand jury.
Because I believe the reason for that is because a lot of this stuff. So the FBI in its report for last month said there are 10,000 pieces of illegal child pornography, video and photos, plus some other stuff that might not involve children, but is still pornographic. And the judge said all this remains under seal because it wouldn't help anybody and it would only hurt the victims.
Okay, but my point
is but the counterpoint is if Trump isn't in the Epstein files, then why hasn't Trump released the Epstein files?
Because of what you just said the judge said.
Well, no, that's not the photos, not the video, but the actual instances where Trump shows up in witness testimony and all these in these many gigs of documents.
Okay, here's the thing, and I would like any information on Epstein to be released myself, but you have to understand that there are hundreds of famous people that are in those files. If you, for example, asked one of the victims, did Trump rape you? Then you're in the files. Then Trump is in the files. Just so there are a lot of people in those files that didn't do anything, but their names appeared in the testimony. So my point is that I don't care whether they release the files. I mean, I want them to be released, but I'm not worried about Trump. Democrats are worried about are making a big deal about this because Trump is winning everywhere he goes. That's all you've got, and I have to say it's pathetic.
No, his net approval has dropped more than 20 points.
It doesn't matter. He's a lame duck. He's not running again.
Yeah, I know he doesn't give a crap about whether people like him or not.
But
hold on. I want to go back to your Biden.
The only people where his approval rating is going down is Democrat propaganda
and independents. Where
I read you gave me Nick that asshole that's been lying about Trump for 10 years. What's his name? That was all wrong last time. The famous guy. That
Nate Silver.
Yeah, Nate Silver's always wrong. He hates Trump. He's always providing polls that says he'll never win the presidency. He's way behind. Everybody hates him.
Let's go back to what you said about Biden. Biden frustrated libs. Sorry, I'm posing at the same time.
Yeah, I'm painting. You're posing.
All right. So Biden frustrated libs by not being sufficiently aggressive, according to a lot of people. Like he appointed Merrick Garland, AG, and Merrick Garland dragged ass and pretty much scuttled a lot of the possible actions to be taken could have been taken against Trump. Like if he's appointed a more aggressive AG like Sally Yates, maybe stuff would have happened faster with regards to January 6th and stuff like that. And so it may be that frickin' Biden didn't release damaging stuff on Trump from the Epstein files because it violated his sense of fair play and propriety. I don't frickin' know. You're going to laugh at that, but come on.
I'm sorry. You know what? I'm painting, so I didn't have the energy to laugh, but that is the appropriate response to what you just said.
Fine.
And I have to say, it turns out Sally Yates is in the Russian collusion files now, the weaponizing files. She actually ordered something to be not investigated that would be, I think she was part of the Russian conspiracy hoax against Trump. And by
Except
the way,
it wasn't
I've
a
noticed-
frickin' hoax.
yeah, this is fascinating. So for 8 years, you've been trying to convince me that Trump is a Russian spy.
No, you always
And then-
mistake.
and
I
then
have
you
not
always-
that.
And then you always get all umbraged about it. And it turns out that you were dead wrong. You're a dirty, slanderous liar. I don't mean to get personal in any way.
No, so Trump's people, Trump's campaign
Yeah.
had more than 200 contacts with Russian figures associated with the Russian government. So I mean, we can argue about the niceties about how much involvement is too much involvement, but people, including his kids who worked for the campaign, had a lot of contact with Russia. So it's not like that. All that stuff was just vapor invented out of thin air.
Okay. May I speak now?
Yeah.
All right. So don't interrupt me. You can answer my question though. You don't know what's going on, do you? Your media has been so propagandized.
All right, so tell
They've
me.
sealed you off from all information, right?
I don't fucking know. That's what you're telling me.
Every Democrat I know is so ignorant.
So tell me,
No,
instead
I
of
will.
telling me
No, I
I'm dumb,
will.
just tell me what you
will.
want me
I
to
will.
know.
All right. So they now have handwritten notes, witnesses to the meetings, and all the emails that show that on December the 8th, 2016, Obama said, we are going to we're going to start investigating Trump. We know he didn't do anything wrong, and we're going to spread a hoax. We're going to spread rumors that he was a Russian asset. And we have the notes of the meetings. They've been released. They weren't released by the Republicans because they're mean. We found them. The Democrats were trying to hide the notes. The notes were found in a compartment in the FBI building that nobody ever goes to. They were about to be burned. They were put in burn bags. They were about to be burned, but for some reason, people forgot to go and burn them. And they say that Obama knew the whole thing.
Big if true. So this is,
But this is amazing to me. I knew you would not have heard one whisper.
yeah,
about
but and
this.
because I haven't heard one thing about it, I have to at least Google it.
You can Google it. I'm sure the New York Times will say it never happened, but we have handwritten notes. Oh,
Okay.
you have to do it right now during the show?
Yeah, because but keep talking.
But okay, I'll keep talking. This is the most amazing thing. The worst scandal in the history of the United States has been released from the FBI papers with handwritten notes, personal witnesses, and all hundreds of emails. And it turns out that the media that Rick has been listening to has been able to shield him from it. I feel like I'm talking to somebody from the old Soviet Union.
So, okay, so
Are you looking at the New York Times saying,
no,
"Oh, it
I'm
never
looking
happened,
at
it
the
never happened"?
office of the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard,
Yeah.
revealed overwhelming evidence that demonstrates how after, so I got to get to that. President Trump won the 2016 election. Obama and his national security cabinet members manufactured and politicized intelligence. But of course, Gabbard's neutrality is well.
But the papers are not. She didn't write the papers. She's just reading from them.
All right, and then I've
They're
got
handwritten.
then I have
notes.
an NBC article from 4 days after the DNI article. Former President Obama's office issued a rare rebuke of Trump on Tuesday after the president accused his predecessor of having committed treason and rigging Um, Out of respect for the office of the presidency, our office does not normally dignify the constant nonsense and misinformation flowing out of this White House. But these claims are outrageous enough to merit one. These bizarre allegations are ridiculous and a weak attempt at distraction.
Does he have any notes? Does he?
Well, no, let me
does he
go
have
back
any
to the- so
handwritten
let me go
notes
back
prove
to
that
the-
he's not lying.
Let me go back to the Tulsi Gabbard stuff.
Well, there, if you go to a Judicial Watch, you can actually read the emails. I have. Judicial Watch has all the documents.
Okay, I'll do that on break. So
You
anyway,
won't have time, but Judicial Watch has a link to where the documents are being kept.
okay. So,
All right, so we need to keep talking because we're on
yeah,
air.
all right. So let's go to the next topic, which
All right.
is the first topic. Did Trump accomplish anything in Alaska?
Yeah, because he found out what Putin's terms are. And now he's presenting to Zelensky, and Zelensky can say yes or no.
Okay, fine. Next topic. They're coming tomorrow. I don't know if they'll meet tomorrow, but they're. So I had COVID. Do we want to talk about that?
You can talk about whatever you want.
Man,
I'm
all
done.
right,
I'm
frick it.
spent.
You know, it was. I didn't have bad symptoms, but it was disturbing and it was hard to get rid of. I tested positive off and on for like 17 days, even though I've been vaxxed,
Can
boosted.
you post?
Yep.
Okay, can you pose? Just
I'm
put your
posing.
computer
I'm
down so
posing.
you can
I'm
pose.
posing.
All right, so you were vaxxed. You were How many times were you vaxxed?
10.
10 times, and
And so my symptoms were mild,
uh-huh.
but I kept testing positive, which meant I exiled myself, slept in the attic. I actually lifted more weights with COVID because I was sleeping next to the weight machine. So if I woke up coughing, I'd just have to do a couple sets. But it didn't give me my arms back. This is pathetic.
Well, you look very striated.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you want in a 65-year-old guy. Most 65-year-old guys have a floppy pot belly. So maybe this is better than that.
All right. I mean, it's really up to the lovely Mrs. Rosner to.
Yeah, I don't think she gives a. Would she be disturbed if, you know, I weighed 50 pounds more with a big gut? I don't know.
What do these people want from us? That's my question. I still don't know.
I don't know.
Turn your head away. Okay, raise it up. Turn it, rotate it this way. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So all right. The next, the big beautiful bill passed.
Yes.
So like it's been a month because I had to cancel one of these deals because of the COVID.
Okay.
And libs do not consider it beautiful. Do we want to talk about it, or is
The
that old
average
news?
American will pay $3,600 less in taxes.
But we'll pay a bunch more in other stuff.
No, there will be no taxes on tips, no
Well,
taxes.
hold on,
on
no taxes on the first, what, 20 grand on tips?
I-
And that
I-
expires in 2028?
Okay, well, then you have to elect him again.
You
So
can't,
anyway,
he's,
and also there's, besides no tax on tips, there'll be no tax on Social Security.
another thing that expires in 2028.
Yeah, so you got to vote for him again.
But you
And-
can't
and
because
then-
he's
and
constitutionally,
wait, and okay, no tax and no tax on overtime.
again,
So-
only
so
for a
these are-
limited
these are
amount of your
all things-
income.
But yeah, but until a Democrat gets in and turns you people back into slaves, because Democrats hate the working class. These are all things that help the working
According
class.
to the Office of Management and Budget,
Yeah.
the bill will cost the 40%, the poorest 40% of American households money through the loss of services. And so the poorest people will lose money with the bill, and the top 0.1% will gain an average of $400,000 in tax savings.
Okay, unless you are a normal middle class person or below, and you work for tips or you want to save $3,600, or you work for overtime, or you get Social Security. Because if those three things happen, then you do save money. So it's very, very unfair. One of the ways the Democrats manage to get elected is by turning people against each other. It's called demagoguery. Demagoguery is when you say, well, that person is only for the rich. They're not for the people. And so Trump does this for the people, and it's going to help everyone, including me, including our
And
cameraman.
in the next year, it will add $4 trillion to the national debt.
Can I-
Yeah, go ahead, JD.
You have to speak loud, speak loud.
OMB doesn't factor in, though, like all the money that the US is gonna get from the tariffs. They don't factor in any benefits from the actual, all they factor is the money that's gonna be lost. But they don't factor in all the gains that will happen, because like for me, I'm a musician, I'm gonna benefit from this in terms of my tips for taxes. Half of my income is tips. So if I can save on tips, that's gonna allow me to buy maybe more things, maybe another guitar this year. So that's more taxes. You gotta pay taxes on guitar, so.
Yeah.
So it just a good, so it's well known among people that study economics, but the common person doesn't know that part of the doesn't go to the equation. So it's a little bit disingenuous of the way they say it, because they don't factor in because that's just the way they do it.
All right, so I don't think we're going to get rich off of tariffs. So the U.S.
No, but
is,
that's not what we're saying. I'm just saying that.
all right, so, okay, fine. So if you declare your tips, then this will help you some.
But you're saying that the OMB only gives you numbers. They don't factor in all the benefits from the tax.
No, well, they're not idiots. They factor in everything they think is a
No, they
factor.
don't factor in anything. All they do, the only thing they come up with is when you take taxes away, of course, then you're not, giving taxes, then you don't, where's that? They don't factor in the benefits of it, because it's all speculative. But history.
I don't buy that. I believe that they,
No, that's the truth. Look it up. Look it up.
I will, I guess I will on frickin' break, but
Look it up.
not now. But the U.S. made $29 billion in tariffs last
Yeah.
month, July.
Well, we're
That
expecting to make 300 billion. And not only that,
300 billion
our
a month, a
deficit-
year.
Right up until now, by now, we've made $270 billion. And
In what, the 6 months leading up to?
up until now.
What does that mean? And throughout all of history? What does that?
No,
Since
since these
tariffs
tariffs have gone in, we've made $270 billion, and there's more. The Doge has found nearly $200 billion in corruption and waste.
No, those
And
numbers
so-
are overstated. It was more like 50 billion.
No, it's closer to 200. It might be 150. But the point I'm trying to make is
They claim
our
that,
deficit, we go into debt every year by $2 trillion. Okay?
Mhm.
The tariffs and the Doge will cut the amount of deficit that we go into, of debt we go into, by half.
You're wrong.
Okay, well,
So,
that's what the,
So
those are just the numbers.
Musk claimed the Doge would cut $2 trillion.
Yeah, it may not be 2 trillion.
It's not even,
It
it's,
may only be 200 billion. So what?
it's
still,
it's
it doesn't
only
matter.
7% of what he
I
claimed.
don't care.
Even if I buy your numbers, it's nowhere near enough, nor are the tariffs near enough. Plus the tariffs will be passed on to consumers.
Well, maybe-
Right now, if you look at a car ad on TV, it says our current stock is not subject to tariffs. So buy now, but that stock will run out in 2 months. And then you'll start seeing tariff pricing, which will raise the cost of an F-150 pickup truck, for instance, by $1,400.
Well, unless they start building F-150s in the United States.
The F-150 is probably built 80% in the US, but 10% of it is built in Canada, and the tariffs on Canada is enough to raise the price $1,400.
Okay, well,
Another thing
the
is,
whole
Bill,
point
buy-
is we're trying to reindustrialize the United States.
Yeah, it's not going to freaking work using
and
tariffs.
if you buy an
it'll help.
American vehicle, interest charges on your loan, if you buy American vehicle, will be a write-off. So that's a really great. Did you know?
Did
that?
you hear
Is
that?
that under the big beautiful bill?
Yes.
All right, but so
All right.
so
are we
anyway, the
getting ready
math
for-
isn't gonna freaking math.
Gas
The
prices,
we're inflation is at 2.7% now. By September, I will bet you $100 it'll be at 3%.
Raise your hand. Turn it this way more and rotate away from me. Okay.
All right. Should we have Scott and Mark?
Scott and Mark, come on, talk to us.
Or I'll go to another topic. Sorry, I got to move my head to see another topic. So
Scott, Mark, there's
here
Scott
they
and
are.
Mark.
Hello.
You asked for Scott. We'll see what Scott's got on his mind since you brought up Canada and everything like that. So, Scott, what's going on over there?
What's going on? It's very cold. It's very cold. It's very snowy.
What we knew.
No, my favorite stereotype of us Canadians that anything above the northern border of the United States is just a big white mass. I assure you, it's mostly like that, but not completely.
Hey, Scott, pretty soon we're all going to be in the same country. Thanks a lot. Welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah, it'll be all
That's right.
United
And you know what?
States.
And the 80% tariffs on the automotive there won't be an issue at that point because it'll be domestic policy, not foreign. So my question for Rick and Lance and JD, if he wants to jump into the ring too, is what about the feasibility of even more aggressive tariffs, but targeted to the contemporary advanced industries, semiconductors, advanced chip and sort of software development, things like that, to protect some of the
All right, I'll
most
answer
advanced
first. So
economically
I
viable.
think you want to help those industries because they're the industries of the future. But if those industries, it takes so long, 10 years to build a cutting edge, state of the art chip factory, that you don't want to address it with tariffs that screw up industry right now. You want to make subsidies available and encourage chip factories to be built in the US, but that's something that takes 7 to 10 years, and that's not what you do with tariffs. Lance?
Okay. I don't know about tariffs, Scott, but I can tell you that Trump has made a priority of trying to build chip manufacturing back to the United States and away from Taiwan because he considers it a strategic weakness. So, as I recall, they're already beginning to build chip manufacturing in the US that we didn't have 6 months ago. And I don't know the progress that's being made.
It takes a while, and this is something that happened under both Biden and, well, Biden had the CHIPS Act, which was, among other things, intended to encourage the chip industry. Also, a guy with my same name, Rick Rosner, created and produced the TV series Chips, so I am an authority on this.
All right. All right.
Yeah, I got a question for you really quickly, as I know Scott had a question as well, and this actually involves security and all along those lines, because I heard that at the Alaska summit, they left some mysterious documents, or they left some documents at the hotel copy center that was some documents that they were not supposed to be leaving. And I know when I worked
Right,
at
they
the Arts Council,
they left some-
when I worked at the Arts Council, I left some racy pictures. We'll just leave it that way and everything like that. Get the office copy center and got busted for those and all along those lines. So I just wondering, what kind of information have you left out, whether it was artwork or whether it was books or whether it was scripts that you did not want people to see, much the way that apparently they left this security and this documents from the Putin-Trump summit?
At my 14th birthday party, somebody had a Polaroid Instamatic camera and said, "We're all going to moon the camera." And they said, "Everybody drop your pants at once." I was the only one who did. And And so it was just my bare ass. And I had gotten out of, I was terrible at PE. So I'd gotten out of PE for that year. This was 9th grade. So I didn't know that that picture of my bare ass was up in the PE locker room bulletin board all day.
That's embarrassing. What about you, Lance? If you left any information that you didn't want out there in the public accidentally?
Well, it's a funny thing. I realized that I'm practically autistic, or what is it where you have no self-awareness? It turns out
Oblivious.
It turns out that half of my work are nudes.
Right.
And so whenever I go to a party or something, people say, well, so what do your paintings look like? And I whip out my phone and I show them the nudes. And now that I'm in my 60s, I realize that probably 80% of the time people thought I was a pervert. And I didn't know that. And so I've actually had people bring children over here. They walk into the studio and then they walk right out. And I always thought I maybe said something wrong. I couldn't figure out what's the problem. Well, the problem is the inside of my studio looks like a French bordello from the 19th century.
Except that people
I can't talk fast enough to keep Rick from interrupting me.
No, you brought something up. So it used to be people were sophisticated enough to see a nude, a well-wrought nude, a sculpture or a painting and think, well, that's art and that's fine.
Right.
But now people are so politically correct that I just found out from Lance and some of his students today that you can no longer show nude paintings as part of some courses because people will freak out and schools are worried about getting sued. So say goodbye to like Venus on the half shell. I think her boobs are out.
Yeah. So it turns out, Mark, my whole life is inappropriate. So let's hear some music.
JD, any appropriate things before you start your music?
Yes, something really bad happened to me similar to that. I had taken some very risque photos, and I went to go do a workshop in South Texas on filmmaking, and I brought a hard drive to show videos of some of the work I had done. Well, luckily, not during the show, but before the show, as we were searching for the right videos, one of my compromising videos popped up on the big screen, and luckily it was just a few of the folks that were there for sound check and for video check that got to see this. And I justified it. You know what I said? I said that I had sent the video to Lance because I was potentially going to be doing some nude modeling for him. And so
that's how you got out of it. Good way.
That's how I got out of it. Did I tell you that story?
I can't wait to see those videos, JD.
Exactly. Charlie, but it is gotcha. Ha. All right. Pinche vada. Awi, da te. Awi, da te. Awi, da te. Awi, da te. Chala Chalamato. So hopefully, if I play that song in the street corner, I may get arrested by ICE. But anyway, that's besides the point. Hope you're enjoying this. Hope you enjoyed this. That's right. Ave Nagila. Anyway, stick around for our next episode. We got Rick, Naked at Night with Lance and myself, JD, and Mark, and Scott Jacobson joining us. Bam, baby.
Naked at Night, Rick, Lance, Scott, JD, Mark. So Lance listed a bunch of wars that Trump has stopped. I went to PolitiFact. You probably don't like PolitiFact, but so Trump has claimed that he's stopped 6 wars, about a war a month. And the PolitiFact says foreign policy experts said Trump deserves some credit for recent peace agreements in several conflicts, citing conflicts between Cambodia and Thailand, Israel and Iran, and India and Pakistan, though India disputes Trump's involvement. So, all right, you get some
What
credit.
about Azerbaijan and Armenia?
I don't know.
Isn't PolitiFact as smart as I am?
I don't know.
And what about the conflicts in Africa, in Rwanda? I mean, are they that fucked up? They can't even include 2 major wars?
Hold on. So the peace agreement between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda is temporary and shaky. With Egypt and Ethiopia, there is no deal on the table. With Kosovo and Serbia, there's little evidence he was significantly involved or that a major conflict was emerging. I
didn't say that. What about
Armenia
and Azerbaijan?
I'm looking for Armenia and Azerbaijan. This article is from, I think, August 5th, so maybe that's more recent.
So you can't even keep up with all of his successes.
Oh, I know. He's fucking amazing.
He is. He's the best president we've had in our lifetime.
Unless you ask 200 presidential historians.
Rick, I don't give a damn what a bunch of lying, filthy Democrats come up with.
Yeah, they're not all lying, filthy Democrats.
Well, listen, do you give him credit for these peace agreements that he made with 5 countries?
I'm willing.
5 wars?
I'm willing to give him credit for the 2.5, maybe even 3.5.
Okay, let's go over it again.
No, I don't want to waste time on that.
Well,
So-
it's my time. I can talk. He made peace between Cambodia and Thailand, Azerbaijan and Armenia, Rwanda and the Congo.
yeah, that PolitiFact says no.
What do you mean?
It says that
PolitiFact says no.
They say the agreement is shaky to the
It's
point.
shaky, but it's the first time they've had any agreement in 30 years. Almost 1 million people have been killed, and now they've stopped.
Just say you want them to die, Rick.
All right, okay. Let's move on to the next thing. Fine, you get partial credit. So
Do you want
Yeah,
people dying? Just
no.
say it. Well, then rally for it, bro. Why are you so pissed off that Trump is going for peace?
no, I mean it's fine, but with
Just
when
say you want people to die and we're good.
what's the
What
deal?
about
What's
you?
the deal, frickin' JD?
No, I'm just saying, dude.
Okay, fine. If he can make peace agreements that stick in real conflicts, but then to claim that he's brought peace to places where he hasn't brought peace or where there wasn't a huge conflict. So
There are 3 countries that have nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize.
after he asked them to.
No, he made peace. Here, let me tell you the countries: Armenia and Azerbaijan have thought about it, have suggested it. Thailand and Cambodia, and Rwanda and the Congo have all said that if it wasn't for Trump, they would not have had these agreements. And that's not the only; those aren't the only ones. I'm leaving a couple out. What's the matter with you? Are you that petty and vile that you can't just give the guy credit?
All right, so
I mean,
let's
I'm
see.
not
All right,
talking about you
I'm
personally.
checking it. It may turn out that you're right on this.
Oh,
Shit.
what about India and Pakistan?
India says Trump wasn't really involved.
Well, since they've had some terror.
So, all right, you're
problems-
mostly right. So Trump has been publicly backed for the Nobel Peace Prize by the leaders of multiple countries, following a series of high-profile diplomatic engagements. So
is that a bad thing? Should I vote for Biden because that's such a bad thing?
no, so
I was a dictator.
so this is what Newsweek says.
Yeah,
While these
didn't-
recent endorsements underscore the prize's global profile, several of the governments backing Trump's nomination, including Rwanda, Israel, Gabon, Azerbaijan, and Cambodia, are led by authoritarian figures, military juntas, or leaders facing international arrest warrants.
That is disgusting
All right.
that they would bring that up. You know that that's completely irrelevant.
Okay, fine. But so let's move on to, I have a topic that's not exactly political, which is the Gen Z dead stare. Okay, so Gen Z, first off, people born between 1997, who are going to be 28 years old now, and 2012, who are 13 now. Okay, that's Gen Z. Now, people have noted that if you, I'm posing, I have to get my head in a certain position.
Lower your head. You
Okay.
can change your eyes, but let me.
Okay, so people have noted that if you talk to Gen Z, if you're a boomer, if you're a Gen X, if you're a millennial, and you come up to a Gen Z and maybe they're working in a store and you just say, I noticed that, is there do you have the key to the, do you have the code to get to the bathroom? Sometimes Gen Z will just look at you like you're a bug. They'll just, here, talk to me. Ask me a question, Lance.
Rick, why are you such a brainwashed Democrat?
So that's Gen Z. Gen Z doesn't even bother like talking back to you. Now, obviously, not every Gen Z person does this in every instance, but I've noticed at the gym, for instance, that Gen Z tends to be more disconcerted than, say, other gens when you come up to them and say, excuse me, how many more sets do you have? Because usually what happens at the gym nowadays is you're waiting for a weight machine and some dickhead is just fiddling away on their phone for minutes at a time. Like, I'll give people 2 minutes before I start bugging them. Maybe more, because if they do a set in there, I'll be like, all right, they're only doing a set every 2 minutes, but fine, let the baby have their freaking machine. But if they're just sitting there doing this, I'll come up and say, excuse me. And most people are a little embarrassed to be just dicking around on a machine. They'll be like, they'll say, I got 2 more. Or they'll go, say they're sorry and get up if they're not using the machine anymore. Gen Z will go, and the last time I had Gen Z respond, Gen Z looked at me like, what? And then finally went, like, they couldn't do words. They could just make a 2 with their fingers.
Wow.
And that's an extreme
Wasn't
instance.
that a peace sign?
Wait, what's happening here?
You've got an ad came up. Just turn it off.
All right, let's kill this. Sorry.
It's a picture of an F-22 fighter plane, one of the planes that Trump deployed to defeat our greatest enemy, Iran.
Okay, all right. So this ties it. So Gen Z is very wed to their devices to the point that, nobody likes talking on the phone anymore. And Gen Z in particular. But there's other things going on with Gen Z that suggest they are stepping away from the world of all sensation into the world of tech. So Gen Z is having less sex than any other previous generation at the ages there are. Obviously, they weren't asking the Gen Zs who are 13 years old, but there are more in America, more virgins under age 30 than ever before, both in absolute numbers and per capita. Only less than 1/4 of people, I think, Americans between the ages of 18 and 30 have had sex in the past year. They're not getting laid. They're not trying to get laid. They're not even masturbating as much, nor are they drinking as much. So some of the great pleasures of life, coming, jizzing, drinking, they're signing off of that, and they're just lost in their devices. And you might think I'm just an old guy bitching about young people, which has been going on for thousands of years. Old people bitch about young people. However, I'm thinking this isn't an entirely terrible thing for two reasons. One is the fewer babies we make, the less climate change is going to be a problem, because people burning fuel contribute to climate change. If we have 20% fewer people in the year 2060 than we were supposed to have had, that's good for climate change. Now, the counter argument to that is, yeah, all that extra fuel is going to be burnt by AI, which consumes a huge amount of energy. But I don't know. I'm still thinking it's not terrible. Thing two is another AI thing, which is, if we're going to keep up with AI and not just be smushed out of existence by it, we will have to become more AI-ish. We will have to eventually have technological changes to our brains and bodies so our thinking can keep up with and link up with AI. Otherwise, AI is going to outthink us and we're going to become second-class beings. Lance?
Well, a minute ago, I felt guilty because I thought Rick gave me an opportunity to say something. He said, say something, Lance. And I said, Rick, why are you such a brainwashed Democrat? And I felt bad. I felt like that's a cheap shot. You promised you were not going to get personal. And then while we were sitting here just a minute ago, Rick said, well, it's a good thing that Gen Z isn't getting as many having as many babies because that'll help with climate change. And I thought, yeah, I was right to say that. I was right to say that Rick is a brainwashed Democrat. That's exactly what a completely brainwashed Democrat would say. We need to have fewer children because he's worried about climate change. I say, you know what? I must destroy Rick. It's not, he's a good friend of mine. I like him, but his philosophy needs to be crushed. And
when was the last time you were
necessary for me to be personal?
When was the last time you were on an airplane?
I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago.
Right, because people are getting the shit knocked out of them by increased turbulence. The more heat in the atmosphere and in the ocean, the worse storms are. You know, you're not a homeowner, but I'm a homeowner in California. They canceled our insurance because California is an insurance risk. Same as Florida, because it's not because we're not raking the forests.
Yeah, that's the reason.
No, it's freaking not. Now, okay, it could be a contributing, some things claimed by conservatives could be contributing factors, but the major factor in increased wildfires across the world is an increasing temperature. The reason you can't get homeowners insurance in Florida is because of the increasing intensity of storms. Now, we can argue about how much climate change is going to fuck stuff up, but it's going to fuck stuff up to some extent. And if we hit a maximum human population of 9.5 billion, we're at 8.25 right now. If we hit a maximum of 9.5 billion in 2060 instead of a max of 11 billion in 2100, is it such a tragedy that we only have 9.5 billion people in 2060?
Rick, it just gets worse and worse, guys.
Why do you have to be against the idea of climate change?
Brzezinski, or Yuri Bezmenov, said that when a Democrat is completely brainwashed, they will not realize that they were wrong until they're being walked up the gallows and about to be hung. That's when they'll understand that something is wrong. So half of California just burned down. It was all completely predictable. But Democrat leaders were so incompetent, so sociopathic, that they let the city burn down. They did nothing. Not only did they not prepare for it by I'll repeat it again. I guess I have to repeat this every week because Rick's brainwashing is so thorough. We have the smallest fire department of any city in America, of any large city in America, and we have the most fire risk.
So I'm
We
not,
had,
wait,
don't
wait,
interrupt me.
no,
Don't
no,
you dare. Don't you dare
I'm
interrupt
not
me.
going to
Shut up.
disagree with
Shut up.
you
I don't
about
care if
stuff
you
like
agree or
that.
not. I don't care if you agree. Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. We have the smallest fire department of any major city in America, but we have the most risk of fires. Our reservoirs were not full of water. The winds were coming, but the fire department did not station any fire engines to prepare in the possible locations where the fire would hit. There was the trees were not cleared. The shrubbery was not cleared. There are countries where they have nothing but forest and they know how to clear the brush. We used to clear the brush in the US, in California. They don't do it the same way anymore. Moreover, we found out that all the top people in the fire department were just hired because they were lesbians. And since then, it's been 7 months since the fire, 8 months, and the goddamn Democrats haven't let anybody rebuild their houses. Nobody. And the only person in the Palisades where I used to live whose building survived was the Republican Rick Caruso, who was running against our goddamn dirty mayor. His building survived
Because he hired private firefighters.
he knew what to do, Rick.
He hired a private firefighting force.
The point is,
Because he's a billionaire.
Be prepared. The fucking Palisades is the richest area in all of the Western United States.
And it's
they
burned.
could have been ready.
Well, they haven't been ready.
They weren't ready because of the Democrats. But
No,
Rick,
wait. Now
but
you
Rick
wait.
is-
Now you
I'm not
frickin'
done.
wait.
I'm not done. But Rick is so brainwashed, so hopelessly crippled mentally, that he says, well, climate change burned down the Palisades. I can't get homeowners insurance anymore. Don't you realize at what point, when they put the gun to your head, are you going to realize how wrong you are?
So Malibu and the Palisades, I believe, have burned 5 times since 1960. Some of those times were under Republicans. Now, yeah, I agree with a lot of your points. Now, the one prominent lesbian leader of the head of the fire department, she got fired. There should probably be a lot of other people who got fired. But this is one fire among dozens. And yeah, it was probably the costliest because it burnt down something like the 2 fires, Eaton and the Palisades, 12,000 structures. So yeah, there's plenty of blame to go around, but climate change is part of that. Will we do better? Probably a little better. We'll probably start putting up drones to monitor fire better than humans can. We will need to build. Now, will we build houses with aluminum studs instead of wooden studs? I don't fucking know. And yeah, we need to do better. We'll probably only do a little better. We'll still have fires. But if you're going to, when you go to court to determine culpability in a car wreck, you start with 100%. And then via a jury trial or in front of the judge, they allocate the how many percent responsible. So there's plenty of percentage points of responsibility to go around. 20% to LA city government, 20% to state government, and I don't know, 25% to fucking climate change. You can't convince me that climate change didn't have a part in any of this. Or maybe, these fires, maybe the LA fires specifically, climate change was less of an issue. But overall, the fires across California are exacerbated by climate change. The houses being washed into the sea along the Florida coast, climate change. The flooding in North Carolina, in Tennessee, all this stuff is going to get worse. And so, yeah, it's an issue, and there is help on the way. There will be technology, and the per capita carbon footprint of Americans goes down by 1% a year. And so the longer we can hold off climate change, the longer we have to figure out what to do about it if frickin' anything. If you don't believe much in climate change, you think it's all bullshit. So maybe you're right, but maybe we should slow things down if possible to see.
So when I was in my 20s, I spent 4.5
I mean,
years.
also, I'm a physics fucking major. I understand the physics of this shit. You're an art guy, Lance. When was you the last time you took a science course was, I don't know, junior year of high school back in 1978.
When I was in my 20s, I spent 4.5 years in a Zen monastery studying Buddhism. It was I would visit the monastery. I didn't live there. And I studied Buddhism, and one of the critical things is self-control. So when I found out that my girlfriend was cheating on me, I didn't even raise my voice. The only human being that's been able to get me to raise my voice in 40 years is Rick. That's the only thing his IQ is good for. His IQ, he's always wrong, but what he's able to do is interrupt me right at the moment when I feel emotional, and then I lose my temper. So yes, he is the smartest man in the world. He's able to get a guy that meditated 8 hours a day for 4 years to lose his temper. I mean, honestly, my girlfriend comes home covered in dirt because she fell in the mud after having sex with another guy. Did I lose my temper? I was gentle and I was firm, but I did not raise my voice. I didn't call her a whore. I wish I had called her a whore. But Rick, this is his talent. You think because he's losing the argument that maybe he's not that smart? No. He is that smart. His goal is not to win the argument. He can't win the argument. His goal is to get me to lose my temper.
That's not I mean, it's great for this stupid show, which is not a good show, by the way. It has good elements. You know, Mark's a fine element. JD is the best element with the music. The art is an interesting element. The arguing is just, I mean, you know, without the arguing, I mean, this part of the show would suck ass.
I'm doing this show for pie, basically.
Carol makes a really good pie.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right.
But I every time he opens his mouth, I wonder whether
But
it's really worth it.
it brings up a good question. So if Gen Z doesn't make enough babies, then we have 9.5 billion people in 2060 instead of 11 billion in the year 2100. Is it fair to the billions eventually of humans who will never get to live because Gen Z is too busy streaming shit over their phone?
The problem with Gen Z is their testosterone has gone down. That's one thing we know for sure. So when your testosterone has gone down, we don't know why. It every year testosterone goes down. It may be a lack of exercise. It may be the crap they put in our food. But Gen Z, it's testosterone that forces people to get busy together, and it's not happening with the boys.
All right.
So we need to change that. And no, I don't believe in climate change. I think it's as much a fraud. Let me tell you guys briefly. I'll keep it very brief. It was during COVID, the COVID fraud, that I realized that climate change was also a fraud. That the Democrats love coming up with these insane things that we're supposed to worry about so that they can control our lives. I don't believe in COVID. I don't believe in, I don't believe COVID was, we did not need all the things they did with COVID. It's just the flu. And I don't believe in climate change.
So wait, I want to compliment you because even though your personal beliefs are that COVID is kind of bullshit, you postponed me coming in post-COVID out of consideration for your students, some of whom are of an age where it wouldn't be good if they caught COVID.
No, I mean, there's no question that elderly people and people overweight really have to worry about it. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But shutting down the entire world, no, that's an overreaction. Elderly people and people that were obese needed to protect themselves.
So let me ask you, why do you not believe in Clinton? And let me say, why do you not believe that 200 years of burning a shit ton of fossil fuel wouldn't affect the global environment?
2 reasons, okay? The first reason is that I know about prehistory. During the periods when we had vastly larger numbers of CO2 in the atmosphere, the Earth was the most verdant it's ever been. For those who don't know, the word verdant means green. So if you want things to grow more, if you want there to be more food, then you would have more CO2. That's why greenhouses are the way they are. They have more CO2. Carbon released from the atmosphere makes things grow more. That's number one.
Wait,
number
wait,
two,
can I respond to number one?
Well,
But
I'm only going to make one more point.
all right.
Number two, because I'm also a student of regular history, I know that in different periods, the climate was different. For example, when the Romans invaded Scotland during the first century AD, they were able to grow grapes. You can't grow grapes in Scotland; it's too cold. So what that means is the weather could go all the way back. It could get hot to the point where you could go grow grapes in the polar areas, in the coldest countries in the world, and we were still fine. The Roman Empire was at its peak. So I'm not worried about it. Well, wait, one more thing.
No, you said two. So
All
let me
right.
say one. So a CO2 heavy planet is hot and wet.
Fine.
But the fauna and the flora on Earth are not adapted to that climate. So in the, what do you call it, the Anthropocene, the human-dominated era, we've lost 3/4 of the species on Earth. That's a ton of species. We are extincting the shit out of everything. And we're acidifying the ocean, so you get the coral reefs. They talk about coral reef bleaching. A coral reef that's alive with little organisms is a bunch of different colors, pink. When those organisms die, it's just a skeleton. So it's white, it's bleached. We're killing off a ton of stuff. So, even if we're not, you can talk about the various aspects of climate change, but some of them are demonstrable and super unfortunate.
Let me just tell you guys what lying, dirty hypocrites the Democrats are. The thing that is killing whales the most right now is the crap that we're putting in the ocean. Those damn turbines are killing whales. But more than anything else that we've got, the things that we're doing to try to use alternate energy is killing whales. And what is killing eagles and more birds than anything we've ever done? The goddamn windmills that the Democrats are putting up. These windmills that create hardly any energy at all. The only thing those windmills are good for is killing birds, especially eagles. Bald eagles.
All right.
So whales and eagles are being wiped out because the Democrats are stupid, vile thieves. They're bribing people to build these solar wind farms and wind power and solar power. It's all bribery. We knew that. And Rick is worried about crustaceans and the coral reefs, and I'm worried about the whales and the eagles.
all right.
Who's right?
So if what you're saying is true, and I'm sure there's a little bit of truth and maybe a lot of bullshit, or maybe not, but so we do without turbines and we do without, windmills that kill a shit ton of birds. There are other forms, almost done, of fuel that is less polluting. Nuclear.
The Democrats have stopped nuclear.
Well,
it's because of the goddamn Democrats.
Maybe, but so maybe I'm not a
So
Democrat
vote
when
for
it comes.
Trump. Trump is the one that's trying to bring back nuclear.
No, that's not enough for me to vote for Trump.
I can't take it anymore. Let's get Scott on here. Scott, you're always a delightful conversant.
Oh, are we on now?
Ask me.
Hello.
I can't answer. You're so smart.
Ask a question that you can't answer.
Well, I'm just saying your questions are so good. I can't
Ask.
answer.
How about asking a pertinent question?
A pertinent question. Oh my gosh.
Or just say something smart. It turns out.
Well, Scott Weeks, I got a pertinent question for both of you and everything. And you kind of alluded to it earlier, Lance, and everything. Because what's the generation that is those that are 30 to 45? Because one of the things that I'm seeing in society is there are a lot of 30 to 45-year-old women, and I forget what that generation is, that are frustrated.
Millennials.
Mostly millennial.
Yeah.
Mostly millennial.
They are frustrated by their male counterparts, and they are actually telling me and other friends of mine that they are looking for people that are in their 60s, 50s, and 70s. And I'm not even sure how old Scott is and everything like that. So I was just curious, how young would you date, and what is your thoughts around these young women that are frustrated and they want to go for the older guys?
This is to them, yes?
Who's answering the
But you
question?
can answer
All right.
too, Scott.
Oh, God.
So I have two of the people here in this room are would qualify as borderline older guys, and I would say in most ways they would be. You know, were I a 35-year-old woman, I would at least try dating them for a while. You know, they might make me crazy, but yeah, they'd be worth a try. If I were a 35-year-old woman, I'd date me, but they can't because I'm married to somebody. But yeah, we're okay. We've had a lot of the edges knocked off by life, and we don't. I don't think any of us spend any time at all playing video games.
So what's your take on that, Lance? Because like I said, I've heard quite a few young women say that they are frustrated by the men in their age range. Sometimes they've been cheated on by those men. Sometimes they're just frustrated, but they say that they are looking at older men as a alternative.
My last 4 girlfriends were each 30 years younger than me. And I have a rule that is correct both in the eyes of God and man. And that is that if Uncle Sam says 18 is an adult, then I have to follow the law.
I think you may have disqualified yourself.
All right. Scott, you have a question? I can't follow that. Okay.
All right, then here comes music. Wait, you're thinking of a question. You got to think faster. This is a show.
What? Lance, you have a very astute eye artistically, particularly around an expertise in realism as an art form. When you look at left-wing media, do you notice a lot of AI manipulation of images that are used in their reporting?
Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, the funny thing is that because I work alone, I see a lot of AI both in imagery and in shows and things, and I can always tell. At least I can tell a lot. Maybe I'm being fooled, but I don't think it's all it's cracked up to be, because I find it repugnant. So there are things it's very good for, and that is if you are a design company and you say, I want it to look like a Viking is drinking my Coke, or a polar bear that has the face of Vladimir Putin, then it can do that for you and do it beautifully. But it doesn't create real paintings, and it doesn't create voices that I find believable. I think that the voices that AI produces, where they're narrating things, are actually insulting, and I get tired of it within a minute or two, and I don't want to listen to it. So if AI is going to either have to get better, or it's not going to replace humans.
Yeah. All right, JD, have you found any young women that you were chasing that were 30 years younger?
Oh yeah. Although the woman I'm dating right now is 55, so I actually like dating older women. Like, for me,
Cool.
yeah.
So
but
is she old? So she's younger than you, but just a little bit younger than you.
I mean, yeah, she's a little younger than me. That's right. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There's a whole show to be said on that. One of these days we'll talk about it, Mark.
All right, sounds good.
Excellent question, though. I sit alone in the darkness of day. I sit alone in the sunlight of play. Hallelujah, 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 amen, 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 I sit alone as I dream awake. I sit alone as I wake in my dreams. Hallelujah, 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 amen, amen. I sit alone in the stars of my breath. I sit alone as I breathe in the stars. Hallelujah, 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 amen, amen. Thank you. That's my latest. Just wrote that a few weeks ago. Thank you. Just wrote that. And you're going to hear another original after this episode. Hope you enjoyed this last one. 2 more to go. Stick around, folks. Naked at Night with Rick Rosner, the second smartest man in the world. Lance Richland, incredible artist. I'm JD. And Mark, the producer. Bam! And Scott Jacobson. The Canadian, the guest Canadian.
Hey now, it's Naked at Night. Lance, Rick, Scott, Mark, JD. And I'm going to tee up a bunch of stuff, Lance. The possible futures. So the movie Alien, which came out 46 years ago, 1979, has been rebooted by Noah Hawley, a great TV writer, director, Fargo, Legion. It's now a TV series, Alien Earth, and he said he wants to give people the same feeling of revulsion and dread and shock that they got when they first saw Alien so many years ago, which means that they can't do the same shit they did because everybody is now used to the giant metal long-headed monster with the double set of jaws. So they're introducing a whole bunch of new monsters. And then they've got like humans who aren't really humans. They're hybrids. There's a bunch of stuff going on, but it made me think there's different versions of the future. There's the Star Trek version that's very human friendly. We've solved all our international issues. Everybody on Earth pretty much gets along, and it's a bunch of humans exploring space. They're not augmented for the most part. They're freaking people like us, but in space. And that's the clean future. There's not a lot of advertising. And then there's the dirty, wet, gross Blade Runner future, where it's always raining and you're fighting over how many pieces of fish you get at the noodle stand, and you're fighting these genetically generated synthetic creatures that get squeezed into existence out of these gooey plastic bags, and life is ugly. And the Alien universe is more on that side, with a bunch of creepy, super dangerous alien species plus corporations run by genius assholes competing with each other and not caring about humans. And that seems closer, somewhere between the Alien universe and which is already out of date because it's based on a movie from 50 years ago, and the Blade Runner universe, which is based on another movie that's, I don't know, freaking 40 years old, but it's a grimy, viciously competitive future, and we're not just competing with each other. And then there's this freaking Pete Hegseth's future. Pete Hegseth is the SecDef, the Secretary of Defense, who's been retweeting and attending the church of this guy. What's his freaking name? Wilson. This guy, Wilson says he's a pastor. Douglas Wilson, Pastor Douglas Wilson, who says that women shouldn't be allowed to vote, that every household should have one vote, and that one vote should be determined by the man of the house. He also says that women should not experience sexual pleasure. And this is one of Pete Hegseth's religious teachers. Also, Pete Hegseth said that if you're trans, you're getting kicked out of the military. Also, you're not getting your pension. He's saying that people who've served in the military between 15 and 18 years can apply to get their full pension, but not if you're trans. He said, no pension for you. So I think you're a highly traditional guy, and I think you want to see a traditional future, but I can't imagine the Pete Hegseth patriarchal future being what we'd want or what's going to transpire.
Okay, now I forgot. I have a stopwatch here, and I'm going to set it, and in 4 minutes,
Okay.
you can open your pie hole.
Okay.
All right. So, first of all, my initial reaction is it's so funny to me that the Democrats have nothing. They've got nothing to argue with. They've completely run out of issues. So they're looking for this crap in the face of a bold, brilliant transformation of the U.S. into its best possible self. We are entering a golden age where we're strong and prosperous and fair, all because of Trump and his cabinet, among them Pete Hegseth. And yet the Democrats are so petty and vile that they're looking for these kinds of things. They're looking into the opinions of the guy that runs the church that Hegseth is going to. Okay. Women, since they got the vote, have been voting very, very left-wing. So it turns out that if you got rid of single white females, the Democrats wouldn't be able to win any elections in the United States. Not saying that they shouldn't be able to vote, but they haven't been voting very well, in my opinion. The second thing, but I mean, that's irrelevant. Okay, does Hegseth believe that women shouldn't have the right to vote? He's never said that. I think it's a theoretical thing that his pastor is floating. It's ridiculous. It's a non-issue. The second thing that you said was, should we be, what trans people are not being treated fair by the military? I did not look up before our show whether trans people are getting their pensions. I don't know exactly what that's about. I would imagine that it's probably being determined on a case-by-case basis.
It is.
But I think that one of the most appalling and disgusting things about the Democrats, in a raft of stupidity and wickedness that they're responsible for, is the mutilation of our children by the thousands. And I think that Democrats that have been mutilating children because they say that they need to be a different gender are disgusting people. And I frankly have no patience or sympathy for anything that promotes transgenderism. So whatever the United States is doing now, and for the first time, it's finally standing up against this disgusting, evil thing that the Democrats have been doing to our kids. Whatever the Trump administration has to do to set it back is fine with me.
All right. So if you put in a certain number of years, maybe 18.
That's 3 minutes and 49 seconds.
So, okay. So you put in 18 or 20 years in the military, you're absolutely entitled to a pension. If you put in between 15 and 18 years, you can ask for your pension early if you leave under good conduct. So on a case-by-case basis, the trans people who are being forced out, they're still under good conduct. They didn't do anything wrong under the terms they entered the military, are asking for an early pension since they have to leave under the new rules, and all of their requests, which normally would be allowed, are being denied. And they're saying as a matter of policy, yeah, you can ask, but you will not receive your pension, which seems brutally discriminatory. Now, I don't know if you've ever looked at any female to male trans soldiers, right? Now, you mentioned that Gen Z has low levels of testosterone, so they're not making enough babies or wanting to hook up, right?
Oh, there might be other reasons.
All right, but among the reasons
Yes,
might be that
okay.
frickin' female to male trans soldiers are full of so much they take so much testosterone. They are fighting machines. They're ripped to shit. They can probably bench 1.7 times their weight without even being a trained weight. They're fighting machines. They're what you wanted. The Germans invented steroids and gave them to their troops to make them more fighty and aggressive. And you've got these female to male trans soldiers who are so freaking soldiery, you find them an abomination. But they were allowed to serve, and they were proud to serve. And now you're saying they shouldn't get their pensions that they earned because you don't like what they stand for.
Okay. You're saying that, now I don't know anything about this issue. I'm just listening to what you're saying. I never heard of any of this. So you're saying that if they hit, say, 20 years, they get the pension.
I think regardless,
But-
as long as
but
they leave
they're-
under good conduct.
But no, not everybody gets a pension.
No,
But
yeah,
if
you
they're-
put in 20 years, you get a
right. But if they're kicked out at 18 years because they're transgender, then they don't get the pension.
They're saying no, that they don't.
Right. So they didn't hit the 20 years.
No, that if you leave under 15 to 18 years, they look at your record,
Yeah.
and if you weren't an asshole, if you're leaving with what do you call an honorable discharge?
I understand,
Right.
but
Then you get your pension.
but what if they don't hit the 15 by 18 years? They're being told to leave because they're transgender.
Well, then they wouldn't qualify for the pension. But
Right.
people who do qualify for the pension
I see.
in terms of years of service are being told, F off. No, we're just going to say no.
Did these same people get their operations to mutilate their genitals paid for by the U.S. Army?
I don't know. And I don't know that.
I think
well, hold
that's
on,
relevant.
wait. There's no way
'Cause
that
it's a lot of money. It's very expensive.
yeah, it's like probably 30, 60 grand, depending. But,
Or more. Yeah, I mean, it's a
but
lifetime. Yeah.
most trans people, and I mean, the vast majority of trans people do not get bottom surgery. That's the expensive shit. The top surgery is just chopping your tits off, or if it's male to female, giving you boobs, which is just a few grand.
Well, this is all very interesting.
But
Rick,
the deal is
I
no,
think
that
this is conduct unbecoming an American soldier,
well,
and I frankly have no sympathy over it.
but they so
Maybe-
they entered.
maybe-
They were allowed to enter
Yeah.
and fight for our country
You should
under
just-
the rules then.
and you
And
should.
we have a law in the U.S. that you can't prosecute people for grand retroactively. They were allowed to serve, and you can't retroactively punish them because the policy changed. That's against U.S. policy. It may even be against the Constitution, and it just seems like weirdly punitive.
I think that if a person is crazy and sociopathic enough to chop up their own genitals,
But they don't.
it's possible.
99.5%
You don't-
of
you-
trans
no, you
people
don't- you don't
leave
know.
their dicks and pussies
You
alone.
interrupting me. It sounds to me like we have people that are mentally ill in the military. And I think if they're crazy enough to mutilate their genitals, they may be responsible for some other activity that we don't know about.
You're just making shit up.
I'm not. I'm actually saying that I don't believe that Pete Hegseth is deliberately being cruel. There may be other factors if we look into the individual situations.
No, he said as across the board.
And beyond that, I would also like to add that I don't want the American military represented by people that have mutilated themselves.
but
And I don't care if they are kicked out and given rough treatment by the Army.
okay, you sound.
I mean, it's fine with me. Fuck them. Is
All right,
what I'm
so,
saying.
I mean,
and I do think that since we got started on this show,
Mhm.
you've taken this subject very unseriously. You've been laughing about it. You've been wearing a dress. You always rise and get very excited, and whenever you talk about it, how wonderful it is.
It's not-
All the Democrats I know are very emotional about this issue, and I have to say,
No,
you should be ashamed. You should feel like one of the dumbest opinions you've ever had, because it's cruel, it's evil, it harms the people
I will
involved
say
with
this.
it.
Here's
I'm not done. You keep bringing up this transgender issue.
because
like
this is
it's
a
perfectly
particularly unfair thing.
It's not unfair.
Yeah, you say you're a cop for 15 years, you're entitled to a pension, and then somebody, the head of the cops, say, "Well, you're trans, so get out of here, and you don't get a pension."
I would want to look into the individual cases, but I am proud that my country has finally turned the corner on this disgusting behavior. It's worse than slavery. If I found out that my child was going to be a slave on a cotton farm in the South in the 1860s, I would be happier about that than my child mutilating their genitals
Okay, fine.
and having the goddamn dirty Democrats say that that's a good thing and support it.
All
And
right.
I
All right,
think-
okay, now you've gone on a long
I
fucking
have-
time. So hold on. All right. So look, trans stuff doesn't affect that many people. I find this thing particularly obnoxious. But
Doesn't affect many people.
It doesn't affect, I'm saying that. So anytime the Republicans bring up trans shit to get you worked up, check your pocket because they are picking your pocket. It's a bullshit culture wars issue designed to distract you from the Republicans fucking you over in a dozen ways that directly impact you. One more thing. I am in straight drag. I've been in straight drag since I was a teenager, wanting to lose my virginity. I got 13 sets of hair transplants to have a nice hairline. I've been lifting weights. I've gone to the gym 69,000 times, 2.927 times per day on average since birth. It is fucking insane what I do. I cut scars into myself to look more manly. It's drag. And fucking Hegseth is the same way. He lifts weights. He has giant manly ass Christian nationalist tattoos. His first marriage fell apart because he repeatedly cheated on his wife. He got his third wife pregnant while still married to his second wife. He paid a woman who alleged that he drunkenly sexually assaulted, mother of two. He paid her 50 grand after she alleged he drunkenly assaulted her in a hotel hot tub. Pete Hegseth is in manly drag as much as I am. It's performative, out of control masculinity as much as my shit is. And to think that people might want to be in other forms of gender conforming behavior, I don't know, strikes me as bullshit. That just because somebody wants to be more feminine the same way I want to be more masculine, that the whole hammer of the American government should be like, nah, fucking get back to the sidelines again. Just seems, anyway.
All right. I'm setting my timer again. So the Democrats are very petty, and when things are going well, it's very important for them to be as critical as possible. So Rick has failed to notice that the U.S. military is much stronger than it was 7 months ago. It wasn't able to meet its recruiting standards under Biden. It was the lowest recruitment rate we'd ever had in the history of the U.S. military in modern times. And the reason is because the U.S. male population was demoralized. Nobody wanted to serve for a president, it turns out, that was mentally incapacitated, and in a military that was more interested in wokeism than actually being a fighting force. We had the greatest military defeat in the history of the US and possibly the world when Biden threw away a stable situation and allowed our country to be humiliated by a ragtag army of Afghans. And so military recruitment was down. Morale was the worst it's ever been. And so what happened was Pete Hegseth, a masculine man that had been in combat and wanted to create an esprit de corps. And that means that the American military is not going to be training people in political diversity. It's not going to have them reading Marxist books the way it was under Biden. Under Biden, they had them reading Marxism.
Russia was our enemy, the Soviet Union.
No, we never had our soldiers reading the philosophy of Marx. That was demoralizing. And so we also have had the fattest military, the most physically unprepared military that we'd ever had under Biden. Not to mention the fact that our armaments were depleted. We gave so many of our weapons away.
So obsolete weapons.
No, but the point is that in every way, America was weaker militarily. And under Pete Hegseth, who Rick claims had an affair on his wife.
Well, a shit ton of them.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
okay.
Rick is very concerned about that. Rick thinks that a good argument against the absolutely stellar record of Pete Hegseth as defense secretary, a good argument is, well, he had an affair. Okay, all right. He had many affairs. I do not care whether Pete Hegseth had affairs. Okay, we smashed Iran, and that was partly due to Pete Hegseth. We've had military victories. We've had the greatest enrollment increase in the history of the U.S. Army, and we have esprit de corps. So if Pete Hegseth is being unfair to transgenders and cheats on his wife, I'll take that bargain.
Did Pete
All right.
Hegseth have the Afghan withdrawal?
Well,
No rational person would have done what Biden did.
yeah. So Biden made the mistake of following. Just let me make a point.
All right,
and then-
all right. That was 4 minutes. Very
All right,
good.
so all right,
Now
give me-
you're going to have some
all right.
time.
So
How
Joe
much time do you
Biden,
want?
3 minutes.
Okay.
Joe Biden made the terrible mistake of following through on Trump's plan for withdrawal from Afghanistan. Trump negotiated with the Taliban for the withdrawal. Biden should have looked at this plan and said, nope, it's going to lead to disaster, and we need to stay there. In fact, we need to send more troops in because troops under Trump had been drawn down to only 2,500 troops, which is not enough to hold Afghanistan. We should probably still be in fucking Afghanistan, even though it was our longest war. We were there 20 years. But you make a good point. If that I can't really counter. If Hegseth has made us a better fighting force by making us a dumber, broier fighting force, then I guess that's good for America. Though, I don't know, a tech-heavy force that we had under Biden, that we continue to have, that I'm not, yeah, if recruitment has really gone up, because, yeah, it was low under Biden, then I can't completely argue against that.
Okay. I'm going to take 3 minutes.
Yeah, I used 1:20.
Well, I still get 3 minutes. There's no
Okay,
rule about
okay.
that.
Let
So
the clock baby have its bottle.
we've been arguing now for several years, and Rick is the smartest man in the world, but there is something he fails to understand. And I've explained this many times. The reason that the Afghan withdrawal was a disaster and a shameful moment, probably the most shameful moment in the history of the US, is not because of Trump's plan. And even though Rick is extremely intelligent, more intelligent than me, he fails to comprehend that you can't blame Trump for something that Biden did.
Okay.
And now, when Trump made the plan to withdraw from Afghanistan, he did not know that it would be a headlong, insane flight where soldiers were desperately racing towards planes and giving up all of our military bases that we'd fought for 10 years to have. He did not know that we were going to give the strongest air base in Asia to the Chinese, to the communist Chinese, because it was right on the border between Afghanistan and China. That was Biden's idea.
Okay. So
No, I'm not finished. I
Yeah,
still
yeah,
have
but
a minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah, but I don't
No.
fucking care.
I have a minute and 30 seconds,
So-
pal. I got a minute and 30
So
seconds.
go,
and that
fucking
tells
go.
me that, yeah, thank you. I'm reclaiming my time. So the thing is, for a long time now, for ever since the withdrawal from Afghanistan, Rick is managing to excuse what happened. He's saying
I'm not
that-
excusing it.
He's saying that I would still vote for Biden. Trump is a very bad man. Now, the 2,500 troops that were in Afghanistan were in the base, the strongest base in Central Asia. This base had aircraft that could have wiped out the Taliban in an hour. And Biden, not only did he withdraw our troops, he withdrew them in the middle of the night. The Afghan government didn't even know that they had given up the base. What they didn't find out until the next day when they found that the Americans were gone. So Trump didn't plan. When Trump was trying to make a deal to draw down our forces, he did not know that Biden would turn it into a humiliation. He didn't know that there would be mass chaos at the airport, where 13 of our soldiers would be murdered as they tried desperately to escape, to flee from the enemy. All right.
You're over.
All right, I'm over.
So, yeah, Biden, most of the responsibility falls on Biden. But there are points to be made about Trump's shittiness and ineptitude. And like one point I can bring up, and then let's move on to something else, because, is Trump wanted to draw American troops, U.S. troops, down to 0 in December 2016 and had to be talked out of it. So Trump wanted to do the same fucking thing 6 months, 8 months before Biden did it. So they're both shitty at this. And they both were deceived by the Afghan government purporting that they weren't just going to fucking collapse when it happened.
May I respond?
Not for 3 minutes.
Trump did not know that Biden would leave the strongest military base in Central Asia to the communist Chinese. He thought that we would leave troops there in that base, loaded with aircraft that could have easily wiped out the Taliban. So you're just wrong about that. And as far as drawing down to 0, we forget that Trump also wiped out the Al Qaeda when they took out not Al Qaeda. Who were the ones that took over Iraq? Not the Taliban. There was Obama allowed the Taliban or allowed the Muslim Brotherhood or another force to take over Iraq, and Trump destroyed it in less. Obama said that this force was going to take over Iraq and that nothing could be done. He said it would take a generation of fighting to stop them, and Trump defeated them in 6 months.
Okay, fine.
So Trump never showed weakness.
All right.
And it's
I lost all my topics
good.
because fucking Microsoft. All right, Microsoft decided to pick this moment update to close down my email. I shouldn't use thank you, but I've got a topic. But we're almost out of time. But let's bring it up. Epstein. We got to. Epstein is the big.
Can I pay?
Yes, Epstein.
Oh, is it time?
Is it time to yell for Mark and Scott? So
Mark?
Epstein in the next show.
All right. Mark, Scott, let's bring Scott in. Scott, you haven't said a word.
No, he said stuff, but let's start off.
Scott, what you got on your mind?
I had a point I wanted to make last episode about dating older ladies.
You're too close to the mic. You're black.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now better.
Okay. So I wanted to make a point about the last episode. I'll try to enunciate a little more clearly. There was an old lady I used to garden with when I was a teenager. She was actually probably a little bit older than you guys actually now. And I remember she was telling a story about some younger woman that was a friend of hers in town. And this younger lady was thinking about whether or not she should go out with a guy that was probably double her age. She was probably in her late 20s or early 30s. And I told her, oh, honey, because apparently he had made quite a bit of money in his life. And he goes, honey, it just date him for a little bit. At least learn what it's like to live like that for a little while. So, that's a perspective that is taken.
At least learn what for a little, what it's like to what?
Live like that for a little while.
So basically be a sugar daddy. Basically have the sugar daddy. In your life.
So that's a sort of part of the culture that was there a long time ago, and still, I think it's pretty perennial.
Still there.
We lost our camera, JD.
What? Okay.
Yeah, we got to adjust the camera.
Go ahead. Do you have anything else?
Keep going.
Keep talking.
Well, hey, while we're adjusting, go ahead, Scott.
So my big question for the two of you: why frame large-scale, complex geopolitical decision trees around a personality, which are important historically, certainly, rather than on administrations and larger networks of decision making? So, for instance, when the United States was attacked, you had justification under Article 5 of NATO to have NATO as a unified sort of alliance, attack and retaliation. What about some of the larger contexts or administration sort of decisionary contexts? Is the frame on personality simply an easier way to sort of contextualize it for yourselves?
Well,
Or is that just the way American media
at
frames it?
least
And so that's what you're talking.
under Trump, the government is Trumpy. Trump has appointed at least 24 people who used to work for Fox News into the government. The last one being Judge Jeanine Pirro as head prosecutor.
Friend of mine knew her, yeah.
So the government is his. The Congress rubber stamps whatever he wants with few exceptions. So I think it's reasonable to talk about at least this administration as Trump's. Now Biden, I don't think it's this dissimilar. They were pretty unitary, though. I don't know freaking everything or even anything.
I don't really know what your point is, Scott, to be honest with you. And I'm not being hostile. I really don't understand it. The U.S. has a very strong executive branch in our Constitution. So the president has a tremendous impact on every decision. And so more than almost any Western country, our president, our executive is powerful enough to influence his own personality on our policies. So I'm not sure I understand what your point is.
Oh, just that you're framing it on personality. Because I think one of the cruxes of the conversation was, like, for instance, on the Pete Hegseth point, it came down to accusations around personal life context, which you dismissed and said, I'll take that bargain, which is a legitimate point of view, right? And so I think, because I feel, maybe this is North America wide, maybe it's Canada too, but just in terms of the way it's framed, it's based on personalities. Are you getting a lot of static as well?
No.
I'm getting a lot of static from JD's maneuvers. But yeah, because I think your point is legitimate. Framing it too much on the personality themselves can make it easy for red herrings to slip into the conversation, deliberately or not, so that the conversation gets derailed. Right?
We are two kings of red herrings.
No, actually, I'm sorry. I really love your question because I was a big Ted Cruz supporter. You may not remember him, but he ran against Trump. And he was a very stable, typical Republican, very conservative. And I didn't want Trump to be president because I didn't want a guy that, was basically an entertainment guy, a movie guy, whatever, TV show guy. I thought Trump was unserious. As soon as he won the nomination, I became a supporter of Trump. And everyone was making fun of me. They said, hey, you must feel bad. Cruz lost. Now you got this joke of a guy, Trump, running. You say, I don't give a damn. Trump and Cruz are almost identical in their policies. by voting for Trump, I'm going to get exactly what I would have gotten from Cruz. Nothing's going to change. The only difference is the Democrats came up with more lies about the sex life of Trump. Like I give a flying fuck. So no, I'm always voting for policy. I'm never voting for personality. And if, God forbid, Trump doesn't run in 28, I'll vote for whoever is carrying on his policies.
All right, so Mark, you haven't gotten to ask a question.
Yeah, it's a question that is totally unrelated to the politics, at least for the moment. But and I know y'all are not sports fans, but it's a sports question, but it's a statue question as well. Today, Sue Bird, a WNBA player, got a statue in Seattle. I know you know that area of the Northwest and everything like that. So they gave her a statue. So I was just wondering, who would you like to see a statue made of that is a pioneering woman? Because like I said, she was one of the pioneers of the WNBA. So who would you like to see a statue of since she got her statue today?
Rosalind Franklin, who lost out on the Nobel Prize for the discovery of DNA, because she died of cancer prematurely, and also because Crick and Watson got drunk and they snuck into her lab and they snuck a peek at her X-ray graphs and used something they kind of kiped from her to suss out the structure of DNA. And she was very cranky. One reason she maybe didn't do as well in science as she could have is because she was justifiably pissed off. So
Okay.
there you go.
And what about you, Lance? What woman would you like to see a statue made of?
I think a very unrecognized woman is a sculptor. So I'd like a statue of a statue maker named Malvina Hoffman. Probably, arguably, in the top 2 or 3 best sculptors in America in the 20th century. Absolutely unknown today. And it's really unfair that she was forgotten. Great sculptor.
That sounds like it. It sounds like an amazing sculpture and everything. I'm trying to remember of Kalo's last name, the artist. There was the woman artist, but it'd be great if they could have a statue made of her as well. You know the artist I'm trying to think of. I know the last name is Kalo.
Frida Kahlo. Frida Kahlo. Yeah.
Yes.
You should look up Malvina Hoffman. The reason she was forgotten was because she's a realist sculptor at a time when realism was being abandoned and destroyed. And the other reason is that she did the Museum of Man, which was a museum dedicated to the different races of man in Chicago.
Okay.
And every sculpture in it was by her of a different race, except guess what? It came out right around the time of World War II, when people were kind of tired of racial things. So it wasn't cool anymore after Nazism.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
Cool. JD, what about you?
I would like a statue of Dolores Huerta, and she was a contemporary and a partner of with Cesar Chavez that led the strike against the strike of boycotting grapes and equal rights for farm workers. So
Cool.
Dolores Huerta, that's my choice. Great question, Mark.
No problem. Get all out of here.
Baila, bailando el sol, baila mi corazón. Baila, bailando el sol, curando mi dolor de amor. Dance, dance, yes, dance in my home. Dance, dance, healing sun. Let the medicine start in my heart. Soul, spirit. Oh,
and peace with you, peace with me, bus. Veni Sancta Spiritu, Veni Sancta Spiritu. Apagando el sol, baila mi corazón, baila apagando el sol, curando mi dolor de amor. Thank you.
That's music.
Thank you so much.
Oh, that's part of the show.
Thank you. Well, that was the end of our third episode. We got one more coming up, and check out all the other episodes that are streaming on the Rewind here on Pod TV. And Rick at Night, Naked at Night, Rick Rosner, Lance Richland, I'm JD and Mark, and our guest tonight, the Canadian future American Scott Jacobson. Bam! Just kidding, Scott. Just kidding, Scott.
Lance wants me to pose again, so here we go. It's Naked at Night with Scott, Mark, JD, Lance, me, Rick. I want to talk about Epstein Island, the rape factory, and the culture of vicariousness. There's no doubt that America and probably the whole world used to be rapier, that in the 60s, 70s, 80s, it was pre-Me Too, and sexual force and coercion was, there was less awareness of it, and people probably got away with it more. So the new FBI summary of Epstein, which is not very detailed, it's a page and a half, lists in the Epstein, I don't know, call it files, call it boxes, call it whatever you want, that the FBI has. They have 10,000 pieces of pornography, much of it illegal child porn, photos and videos. And that the same report says that there were 1,000 victims of Epstein. And I'm like, how can that frickin' be? How long was he operating? And I probably should have done more research, but apparently he started this stuff around 2002. And by 2005, there was an investigation started by a 14-year-old girl who had been brought to either Epstein's residence and coerced or forced into giving a full-grown man a massage. And then the next day at school, she got in a fight because some other girl called her a whore, which means that at this school, it must have been semi-common knowledge that if you went to Epstein's, you were doing, unsuitable stuff. And then so Epstein dies, kills himself probably, maybe in 2019. So at most he had 17 years. And for 2/3 of those years, he was under investigation or in jail as under work release as part of a sweetheart deal. But he was still like running a rape factory where how did he rack up such horrible numbers? So FBI says 1,000 people. There was a victims compensation fund that split $290 million among 100 victims. Another list of victims ran 150 people. an early, like circa 2007 or 8 investigation by, I want to say the Miami Tribune, found 60 to 80 victims. So anyway, tons and tons of victims. And it kind of worked like multi-level marketing, where amenable girls, now these are poor girls, who are cheap to buy, of various ages, some of age, who lived in trailer parks or the crappy parts of the communities close to Palm Beach. And some of these girls were used to recruit other girls. And, with 1,000 victims, some of the girls were, probably more like than the other girls, or maybe didn't realize the damage that they were being, lifelong damage. At least 3 of the victims have died. One by suicide and 2 by drug overdoses. And it's just a lot of girls to be recruited in a very limited amount of time, which speaks to extreme coercion and rape on an industrial scale. And I would guess that some of the visitors, some of the creeps at Epstein Island were creeps vicariously, that they maybe knew of what was going on and maybe didn't participate to the point of rape, but participated to the point of kind of winking and liking what was happening around them, seeing all these young girls running around and knowing where they were going. Alan Dershowitz, the lawyer, said that he got a massage from an underage girl, but it was okay because he kept his underwear on. And now he's sad because he's been excluded from society on Martha's Vineyard or Long Island or something, because people find him creepy. I can imagine that there were lots of other creeps. Like, I can imagine Bill Clinton winking at his knowledge of maybe some of the stuff that was going on without necessarily participating. We don't frickin' know because the files aren't public knowledge. I can imagine Trump doing kind of the same thing. So Trump, I don't know how many times he went to Epstein Island. He was in the Epstein flight log 7 times, which I guess includes flying there, flying back. I don't know. But also,
Qualify that. We don't want to get sued.
no, the 7 times as well as step. Well, I don't know, but anyway, he was.
He never went to the island.
Okay, so he was in Epstein's. He went on Epstein's jet 7 times. So maybe I don't know, but so he was in the flight logs. When you. I think I do.
I mean, he didn't go to the island. He claims he didn't go to the island.
I think I've read. Now I may be mistaken that he was listed as a passenger on an Epstein jet 7 times. I'm pretty sure that's well substantiated. When a plane flies someplace, you have to list everybody on the plane. That's the manifest. He's listed on 7 manifests. I guess, so I don't know where he went, what he was using the plane for. In Florida, he and Epstein lived about 2 miles from each other. In Manhattan, they had mansions.
Well, he lived 2 miles from Epstein?
Okay, and they were good friends for a long time.
They weren't good friends. What? I lived 2 miles from every gang in LA.
So, I mean, they were seen together at a bunch of parties.
No, not a bunch of parties, a couple of parties, because he's in New York.
All right, yeah, in New York they lived.
Like you are the most terrible guilt by association I've ever heard. He lives 2 miles from the guy's mansion. My God.
But
you know what? Trump's a rapist. He's a racist rapist. That's it.
I mean,
Get him out of office.
He's-
Replace him with Joe Biden.
He's been found by 2 different juries to have used his fingers to penetrate E. Jean Carroll against her will in a department store dressing room. So two
Yeah.
juries found that. 26 other women have told their stories accusing him of sexual harassment or sexual assault.
Not only are the Democrats willing to lie about him, but they also tried to shoot him twice. They
You don't
hit-
know who frickin'.
Yeah, the Democrats did it.
But just so we don't get sued, be balanced. That Biden's also been accused.
But Biden was accused by one woman who I had a Tara Reid. I messaged back and forth with her. She's a con woman. She changed her story a ton of times. It wasn't plausible. Every time people pointed out what she said happened with Biden couldn't have happened because the where she said it happened wasn't a place. So she changed it to put it in a place where it could have happened. That it couldn't have happened because people working for Biden were required to wear pantyhose.
Was Biden also married? Was dating a married woman?
What, his second wife was married when he was dating her? I didn't know. Was she separated? I don't know. All right, I didn't know that, but
Just to keep it, we don't want to get.
All right. But anyway, the Tara Reid eventually defected to Russia. She's a crazy person, so anyway, Trump, he was friendly at the very least with Epstein.
Julia, say the other part. I kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago.
Kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago because Epstein poached one of his workers, one of these girls who worked at Mar-a-Lago.
So he kicked him out.
According to what Trump says.
He says it because he made a pass at one of the workers.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
so all I'm saying is that in this culture of, and I'm about to accuse myself of what I'm accusing Trump possibly of, or Clinton possibly of, which is Trump may not have sexually done anything sexually improper with any of the women or underage girls or frickin' whatever who worked at Mar-a-Lago or for Epstein or whatever. He may just have laughed and winked and gone along with what he suspected was happening. And I got to tell you that in the 1990s, in the 2000s, now nobody that you would associate with me in Hollywood was ever that I know of guilty of any sexual impropriety. Like, I've worked for a bunch of people. I don't know that any of them ever did anything that was sexually improper. But I would hear stories from other people about stuff that other people had done. Like, I was talking to an acquaintance who said they had a four-way. I'm like, whoa, that's awesome. This is, I don't know, in the 1990s. He's saying, this woman was here, this girl was here. And I'm like, well, wait, where's woman number 3? Oh, she was throwing up. And I'm like, wait, that sounds less awesome. That one of your partners in this four-way is so drunk that she's puking. So that took kind of the vicarious shine off of this story. But what Trump calls locker room talk, that happened. Not the way Trump characterizes it, but, we would hear stories. And, I've been married. I've been with my wife since 1986. And yeah, in a rapier time, I would vicariously hear stories about people hooking up and be like, ooh, exciting. I'm saying that could have been, we don't know what Trump got up to, but he could have very much, and Clinton could have done the same thing, which is listen to stories or wink at what they think is happening.
Okay.
Which is creepy now in retrospect.
By the way, we've had this argument before, and I actually looked up the numbers. It's not very important, but people are getting raped more now than they were in the.
Yeah, I
in
think
other
we had this
periods.
discussion,
Yeah.
and
And it has to do with the Democrats bringing in millions of illegal aliens out of jails.
actually, it has to do with the FBI changing the definitions of rape and sexual assault to be more inclusive.
Okay, well, I also think whether they did that
Now,
or
because,
not,
I mean, if anything, bringing in a shit ton of immigrants would dilute the number of rapists, since immigrants have a lower rate of committing
it's
crimes.
not true. It's not true because under the Biden administration, we allowed in millions of unvetted illegals, some of whom were leaving prisons. But
All right, do you have a
but
rebuttal
as far-
to
as
this
far as-
thing that I said that was really not very?
yeah, I mean, I here's the thing. Again, the Democrats are clutching at straws. They're hoping that maybe they can find some connection between Epstein and Trump, and there never has been any connection other than that they were at the same parties a couple of times. Apparently, Trump lived within 2 miles of Epstein. But one of the things that Rick never faces is that on the Hunter Biden laptop, there's actual child pornography. So the son of the
hold on.
president. You spoke for 11 minutes.
All right, no, okay,
pal.
okay, but
You
no,
spoke for 11 minutes.
no, I want to know what so I assume it's from, he went to foreign countries and he hooked up
I'll
with,
just tell you what it is.
Oh,
You don't have
go
to-
then,
you
go
don't
ahead.
have to ask me. What happened was this. There are hundreds of pictures of Hunter Biden with prostitutes, and there are pictures of Hunter Biden naked with naked girls, and these girls are clearly under like 14. I believe many of them are of his cousin. He was very attracted to his cousin.
he's
Now-
naked with his cousin?
Yeah, and the cousin is naked too. Now, in some cultures, that wouldn't be pornography, but in ours, it's not viewed well.
No.
Also, apparently, in Joe Biden, the president's daughter's diary, she recounts that she would take showers with her father while she was an adolescent. So she wasn't 3 or 6. She was pubescent when she took these showers with her father, Joe Biden. And she actually, in her own words, in her own diary, she says that this may account for her sexual maladjustment as an adult.
Right. So,
Now, what I've noticed is not one single Democrat that I've ever spoken to has ever heard these two facts.
no, I've heard this.
But they know all about how Trump and Epstein were double penetrating together every night,
Yeah, but
a different child.
I just,
So I just think it's pathetic, Rick.
yeah, but
It's
I just said
pathetic.
that Trump may not have been guilty of
But
anything
beyond that-
except vicariously.
Yeah, you can speculate all you want, but we actually know that Clinton was on that island 26 times. Now, what was Bill Clinton doing on Epstein Island 26 times? We don't have any evidence whatsoever that Trump was on that island,
Okay.
but we have evidence from witnesses that Clinton and flight logs that Clinton was on the island 26 times. And it's going to come out, by the way. You may think you got away with it, but they're going to reveal that the Clinton Foundation was basically an organization founded so that they could bribe Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. So what countries would do
No, well,
is
I
that
don't wanna-
the
let's-
evidence is coming out. The evidence is coming
yeah,
out.
you say
I-
that
I know.
because
No,
Tulsi
no,
Gabbard
no.
runs the
She's-
DNI.
Yeah, she's releasing emails and handwritten notes. She has witnesses right now. There were 14 FBI investigations into the Clinton Foundation. Because while Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was in office as Secretary of State, she was possibly receiving millions of dollars of donations to the Clinton Foundation from countries that she was dealing with.
So
And that's going to be investigated because the 14 investigations were shut down by Obama.
okay, so if she did this,
Yeah,
and it turns out,
and her
all right,
husband-
now
and her
you talked for a long time. If she did
You
this,
spoke for 12 minutes.
All right.
I only spoke for 3 minutes.
fine. If she did this and it turns out to be actionable, lock her up. She was Secretary of State
Uh-huh.
in what, 2010? And so she's gotten away with it for 15 years. Now, Trump, according to the New Yorker, has made deals, including 5 different cyber coins, to increase his and his family's net worth since he left office the last time by $3.4 billion.
That doesn't matter at all.
Oh, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants, but
Wait. You're saying, these are your words.
yeah.
He left office and then he brought out a Bitcoin type currency
So
and made billions on it?
all right, most of it since he got elected. Hold on. Most of the 3.4
This is
billion.
me smiling.
No, most of the 3.4 billion since he got elected in 2024. Now, I extended it back to 2017, to 2021, because that also encompasses the sweetheart hundreds of $1 million deals that his son-in-law Jared Kushner made with Saudi. So if you want to leave that out, it takes what he made down. He's made $3.1 billion since he was elected in 2024.
But number
He
one,
hasn't
that's
done that.
it's
What?
not.
He hasn't, his sons have a Bitcoin, not Trump. His sons have.
Yeah, the family. I just said Trump and family.
Not Donald Trump Sr., his brother,
No.
his sons.
No. He has 5 different coins plus one for Melania.
Do you know why he went to Bitcoin? Do you know why?
Because it was a way for him to make a
No,
shit ton of
Because
money.
all the banks wouldn't do business with him anymore.
Yeah, because he's got a terrible record.
No, his record is impeccable.
He's
He
defaulted.
never defaults.
Trump has defaulted on Trump and family have defaulted on $1.5 billion of debts, legitimate debts. They are the biggest deadbeats in U.S. history. You can say no, but you haven't looked into it. You're just saying no. You don't fucking know.
But do you know why? Do you know why he got into Bitcoin? That's what we're talking about.
Okay, fine, but
The
his
banks wouldn't do business with him
because
unless
he's
they
a
shut him
terrible risk
No.
because he doesn't pay back loans in full.
in court. The bank said when he was being sued by Letitia James, the bank said, no, it was great. He paid us back in full with all interest.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And see, what happened was this: the Biden administration, part of being evil is to debank major conservatives. So, as a conservative, a famous conservative, they called up the banks. We have evidence now that they did this, and the banks would refuse to do business with any famous conservative. There were hundreds of conservatives that were debanked, and so Trump had
Look
to
at
figure out.
Trump's history of defaulting on loans.
It wasn't because hundreds of conservatives were faulty in their business acumen. It was because the Biden administration, we have evidence of this,
That's just a fact.
asked the banks to cut them out. It was a way of committing political warfare against their enemies.
Horseshit.
Well, the same people that raided Mar-a-Lago and went through the
found-
president's wife's underwear drawer.
And had found at least scores and scores of boxes with thousands of documents
that were under control by
In the bathroom.
Secret Service. No. Actually, what happened was your people. They're so disgusting that they asked the FBI to raid the former president's home
because they've been asking for these documents back for 10 months.
No. Actually, Biden's home was full of thousands of documents that he had stolen
Hundreds of
while
documents.
he was a senator. So he had no legal right for these top secret materials. He kept them in the garage next to his Corvette. And when they found that out, they said, well, let's see if we can blame Trump for this.
Less
So
than-
without interrupting
Less,
me,
no,
without
no,
you spoke
no,
for
less
11
than
minutes.
less than 8% of the number of documents,
I don't care what the percentage is. He had
and,
no right.
less than
It's-
4% of the
it was
number of
illegal.
classified
Not only
documents.
that, he released it to his autobiographer, who was a Ukrainian. When Biden's autobiography was being written by a Ukrainian author, Biden let him see these top secret documents. Now I contrast that with Trump, who had security clearance because he was the president. He, as the number one law enforcement guy in the United States government, he could declassify whatever he wanted.
No, he couldn't.
Yes,
He
he
just
can.
says he
yes,
can.
he can.
The
There's
national-
no law. It is the president's final word. The president
No,
is the
no, you
highest
guys,
officer.
you
no,
frickin'
it's not a
Tweedledum
Democrat.
and Tweedledee
No,
are
it's-
both full of
no,
shit.
no,
That's
thank you.
not established
Yes,
law.
yeah, it's
That's
established law.
Trump's
It- no,
interpretation of the
it's-
law. No, you fucking guys, no. And the National Archives had been asking for the documents back for 10 months. And Trump said, A, you've gotten them all back, and B, just didn't give them back until this went on for nearly a year after he left the presidency.
Okay.
And after he didn't have the
Yeah.
ability because he was no longer president.
Okay, as president, he could declassify whatever he wanted. It's not a bureaucrat, Democrat in some office building that can declassify things. If the president says this is no longer top secret, he could take our nuclear codes and put them on the cover of the New York Times.
Yeah, but he has to know what he has.
No,
He
no,
didn't
no,
even know
no,
what he
you
had.
don't know what he knew. That has never been
Yeah,
established. You're making that up.
Yeah, but so
But what
as
happened
you
was-
are
what
making
happened
up
was-
the deal that Trump can magically,
Yeah, he
after
can.
he's
He
no
can.
longer president,
He could wait. But beyond that, he didn't have them in his unlocked garage next to his
no,
Corvette.
he had him in
They
a
were-
bathroom.
No, they
and
weren't in a bathroom. They were in boxes.
There's a photo of a bathroom
the
filled with.
FBI staged that.
Okay, yeah, you make up all this shit.
We
that's
have the documents
okay,
saying
the
that.
documents were put. They were in a stage area.
Listen,
they were
listen
all
to me.
over the
All
place.
right. Now I'm going to speak. I get 2 minutes.
All right.
One, the documents were being protected by the United States Secret Service. They were not in an empty garage in a house like Biden had them. We now have evidence that the FBI under Biden had gone there, found a few documents that were top secret, that were under lock and key, protected by the Secret Service, and they brought labels with them that said top secret. They framed him. They photographed these papers. They dragged them out of the boxes. They put them on the floor and they labeled them top secret so that people like you would be fooled. But I'm not done. Hang on. I've got 1 more minute. I'm glad that you remember the Mar-a-Lago raid so well, because in a few months, all of your people are going to have their houses raided. Obama is going to have his house raided.
Bring it. Fucking
Clinton,
bring
yeah,
it.
yeah. And a lot of them are going to go to jail. And you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say no one is above the law. I guess they broke the law.
So
A jury found them wrong.
every time Trump gets caught, you have Trump's bullshit lawyers and Trump's former Fox News personnel who have now been appointed.
You like
To run-
Judge Judy, Janine?
No,
She's a judge.
like
She's a
Cash.
judge.
Yeah, she was kicked out of being a judge for being shitty the first time around.
She was a judge. She's now doing an excellent job prosecuting Democrats and illegals. I think it's wonderful. She's not a Fox host anchor person. And
She
Pete
was,
Hegseth-
except that
I know, but the Democrats are so stupid that they say, "Oh, she wasn't a judge. She has no legal."
No, she
background."
was, but she was found-
No. Let's see something shitty about her. I don't believe it. And as far as Hegseth goes, he was in combat. He was an officer that was writing books on how to reform the Pentagon. So what do the Democrats do? They say, "Oh, he was a Fox News host."
No, he was
They
also
lied to you.
he was also a major. one of the lowest ranking secretaries
So?
of defense in history.
No, what? We've had guys that weren't even in the army as Secretary of Defense.
That's true. But if you're going to have a
the
military
guy under
guy,
Clinton wasn't done. It wasn't even in the
fine,
army.
but among people who were in the military, he's
Uh-huh.
one of the lowest ranking guys in
I
history.
don't care. He was qualified. He had theories on how to reform the Pentagon. But all Democrats know is that he was a Fox News host that banged someone while he was married. You're disgusting.
Right. Mark.
You know what happened to Scott. He disappeared and everything like that. But I got two quick questions for you and everything along those lines. One is apparently David Justice has put out a book that he was not really all that excited about being married to Holly Berry, one of the most beautiful women, according to a lot of folks and everything like that, because she's not a traditional wife. Apparently she didn't know how to cook, clean, and didn't have a lot of maternal instincts. So my first question to the two of you, and then I've got a interplanetary question, is would you kick Holly Berry to the curb if she didn't know how to cook and do homemade home errands and things like that? Because that's apparently what David Justice said and everything like that.
So there's a saying in Hollywood that no matter how sexy, how shiny and glittering a Hollywood star is, there's somebody at home who's sick of them. So, I mean, Mel Gibson was, for a decade more, America's sexiest male star. And then he just got squirrely as heck and, got like, he ended up divorced. He got crazy. He maybe was crazy all along because his dad kind of ran a cult with weird, disquieting beliefs. So yeah, I can imagine, that's a question. There was a guy at work who used to take like a page of Us magazine, who wore it best, or this look at the Oscars, and he'd open it up and it would show 6 stunning women at their prettiest. And they'd go, which one would you have if you could have any of them? And then I'd go down, I'd go, well, she's pretty, but she's probably a nightmare. And I'd go, I'd take her. She looks nice. And he'd get so mad. He'd get mad. And he goes, no, you can't choose them for niceness. But yeah, I would choose somebody who's not miserable.
What about you, Lance? They said that she apparently she didn't have a lot of homemaking qualities. She wasn't a good cook and she didn't do the dishes or she didn't do cleaning and stuff like that. That's what David Justice said. Now, of course, he was also a sex addict, and that's a known fact.
Well, I don't make any decisions based on whether somebody cooks or cleans. I think that's ridiculous. And I frankly doubt whether that's the real reason. When these people talk to the press about their marriages, I don't think they tell you exactly what happened because the truth may be a little embarrassing. I will say in a rare moment of agreement with Rick that it's true. You can take the most beautiful woman on earth and there's some guy out there tired of fucking them.
And my college girl, I had a girlfriend in college for about 2 years who some people have just a ton of testosterone. And she was a big, strong, we were bouncers together at a bar. And she was horny and we just had crazy sex all the frickin' time. And it was awesome. And it was also scary because she'd get angry and she'd like hit me or slap me. And
She left you for another musclier bouncer, did she not?
And yeah, she left me for a steroid dealer. But it was exciting. And then I met my current wife, whom I've been with since 1986. And it took me years to get used to niceness and not craziness. But I'm glad I ended up with Carol instead of the psycho college girlfriend. Even though it means like less like danger sex.
Well, there's a context there too for you, because the part of your story is you had that physics equation you flew over Boulder on that plane that you thought described the structure of the universe, and then you went to your next month thing, or one of the months was to get over this woman that left you for a steroid
Okay,
dealer.
so after
Let's
this,
go to single Jewish dance.
All right. Okay, so quickly, after breaking up with the psycho, after she dumped me for the steroid guy, it took me years. I was bummed out. I was all twisted around. And so to get myself out of my funk, every week I had to do something stupid. And one week, the stupid thing I did was I had to go to a Jewish singles dance. And I knew from experience it's stupid because you go in Denver, the Jewish singles are not good. And so I'd go to this thing, and I knew I'd be surrounded by nebbishy guys and, like, I don't know, women. But anyway, it worked out great because my wife was there, 5'9.5" in a big purple dress. We took third place in the dance
Was
contest.
that purple dress a prom dress?
It was very prommy, yes. It was the era. We're saying 1986. And, you know, and it was great that every other guy there was a frickin' neb because I looked cooler in relation to them. So a dumb place to go to hook up turned into a lifelong thing.
Scott, you got a question? Otherwise, I got one more that I was going to ask you about interplanetary.
Wait, I'd like to add.
Isn't that a Daft Punk song?
I'd like to add one word of wisdom that we don't cover enough, and that is that you can be with a woman that's incredibly beautiful, and you can't take it because they can have terrible personalities that defeat their looks. It is, every guy that's been around the block finds this out, that eventually you'll be with a woman that looks incredible, but you can't wait to get away from her.
So I got lucky. My wife is very good looking, has kept her looks as we've been together, but has terrible self-esteem about her looks. So, like, if she acted as cunty as her looks would entitle her to, it would be miserable. I'd be constantly worried she was going to hook up with somebody else. But I will compliment, like, her looks, or JD is complimented, say, you look beautiful, and she just gives like this weird laugh, like, oh, you guys are fucking idiots. So yeah, because you know, two people with low self-esteem can make for a lasting couple.
It sounds like it lasting years and everything.
I have a saying, okay? Doormats keep their jobs and stay married.
Yep. Scott, you raise your hand.
Yeah, I mean, that actually may make an interesting, less argumentative episode around what you two consider wisdom as you are in sort of.
Oh, that's a good idea. All right,
as you've gotten through life.
Next week we'll be back with 4 more episodes, and we will try to drop pearls of wisdom.
Yeah, dropping pearls of wisdom, that'd be really cool and everything. Hey, Lance, just really quickly, because I asked Rick this on our news show and everything, which we'll be doing in a few hours and everything. Why are they putting a nuclear reactor on the moon? And are the aliens going to come and grab that nuclear reactor? Because apparently they are putting a nuclear reactor on the moon, and I'm still trying to figure out why.
Well, I'm not a scientist, and I didn't read an explanation. Don't interrupt me. But I do have a theory, just common sense. I thought about it, and I thought, well, if you have a nuclear reactor on the moon, then when you bring a vehicle or a machine and put it on the moon, then it does not need to go back to the Earth to get power. So that's why I think they're doing it.
Okay.
So it's the beginning of colonization.
I'll give my reasons tomorrow.
You can't say it briefly?
I mean, I could, but then we got it. JD's been standing there for like 18 minutes.
Go ahead, say it. Go on.
Well, I mean, so one problem that we're facing, Lance doesn't believe it, is we're heating up our planet with the byproducts of energy. Energy that's already used up creates waste heat. If you put your reactor on the moon, the waste heat isn't going to heat up the Earth. It's not a problem for now, but it's a problem for the future. That, you know.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Hey, JD,
Yes, sir.
before you start, are you going to kick Halle Berry to the curb because she doesn't have cleaned the dishes and she doesn't apparently sweep the floor or vacuum?
Oh, hell no. Hell no. I'll do it. I'll do it for Halle Berry. I'd kiss her feet. I'd suck her toes. I'd lick the floor if she wanted me to. That's just me.
I hear you.
I came out to Hollywood in '99 with a suitcase in my hand and a cheap bottle of wine. I was sent by my spirit soul to live my dreams. Left behind my nightmares and a million haunted screams. Oh, and I'm still here, chasing the stars, blacking out in sketchy Hollywood bars. Oh, and I'm still here, a fucking no name, calling my way to the top in this damn nepotism game. I'm still standing in Hollywood, still standing in Hollywood. I live in my car, in my mind, I travel far, with holes in my socks and boots, but a great guitar. I'm a whore, I'm a slut in films with angelic ways. I do what I want like a pirate most nights and days. Out and down, still here, chasing the stars, blacking out in sketchy Hollywood bars. Oh, and I'm still here, a fucking no name, clawing my way to the top in this damn nepotism game. I'm still standing in Hollywood. I'm still standing in Hollywood. All right, JD March original. Yeah, baby. I hope you enjoyed that song, and hope you enjoyed all 4 episodes back to back to back to back of Naked at Night with Rick Rosner, Lance Richland, and I'm JD, along with Mark and our guest Canadian buddy Scott Jacobson. Stick around next week. Bam, Mark.
I'm going to get the commercials. Before I go to commercials, I think you need to go out with Cree Summers, because Cree Summers, Freddie from the Different World, she was also very attractive as well. So she was the one that I think had some native roots. I think she might have even moved to Canada, where Scott's at, and married a Indian from that territory, if I remember correctly. But yeah, she was a nice young lady. So you might have to go out with Cree Summers and everything like that. But we're going to get on out of here with a couple of these last commercials, and Lance will enjoy this. The last article that I didn't get to, but maybe we'll bring it up next week, is apparently there was a contest between Epstein and Trump as to who could get to Diana first. So apparently they were supposed to have a contest as to who could date her and all along those lines. So that was an interesting article that I saw as well. So don't know if it's true. It's probably fake. But right now, let's get on out of here.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.